Groove City.
So anybody who doesn't live on this planet might not know who James Patterson is. How would you describe yourself?
As a person or an artist?
Person. Let's go person first, baby.
Pretty mellow most of the time. Love to dress up, but also love to like chill. Music is my thing.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Now as a musician, though, I feel like there's a lot of other side. Do you feel like that gives you like the other side of James Patterson that you need? Because I mean, you have quite a stage presence when you hop up.
That's because I have to. That is like me like doing breathing exercises like right before I hit the stage. I'm
hyping up.
Okay, and I'm out there. And then once you're out there, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like out of body almost. But
well, I feel like there's a lot to unpack there. Let's maybe back it up a little bit and go into the earlier years and talk about where you came from and what got you into music.
Sure, yeah. So I'm from New York, and my parents are church musicians. My dad's a church musician. My mom kind of like helps him out in MDing.
Were you born here in the city?
Yeah, I was born in the Bronx, but I like grew up around Bronx, Connecticut, New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, and like Northeast
Shout
guy.
out New Rochelle.
Yeah, shout out. But yeah, so my first experience with music was in church, playing drums for my dad while he was on the organ.
That was your first. That was
like my
instrument?
first instrument. Yeah, was drums.
I feel like a lot of DJs' first instruments ends up being drums.
It makes
like
sense.
I actually didn't even know you played drums. I know you play a lot of other things.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't because I don't.
Insider tip right here.
Because I don't have a space where I can like really practice a lot, so I kind of like fell out of it. But yeah.
Well, we have a lot of kids here at the Sound Collective, so now you got to come.
Peeped on my way in. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I can come here and like get my chops back up. But yeah, drums and then like piano because we had a piano and an organ in the house, so I just kind of like picked up from my dad.
Yeah, your dad's an incredible player.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of the best. He's definitely a big inspiration for me also. So like, shout out to my dad and my mom. But yeah, so church and then hip hop. I got into a lot of hip hop. Like my homies in high school, like passing around mixtapes and shit. I got into like
mixtape era.
Yeah, I remember when people were like making CDs.
Oh, that was me. I was the kid on the playground, like, yo, $5. I got the new hot Rich Furniss.
Yeah. So
back then it was Rockin' Ricky, just so everybody knows.
Come on, Rockin' Ricky.
See, I'm a little bit older, so we were still doing mixtapes back in my day.
I dabbled in the mixtapes. That was like middle schoolish before CDs.
Yeah.
I was kind of like both-ish because I was
mostly CDs.
I was making
like
my
a transition point.
Yeah, definitely a transition point. I had my own because I was making like my own like mixes off the radio, off of cassettes. I would listen to like
was
popular radio. You know what I mean? I would just like press record when like the song. I would literally sit in front of the radio, wait all day until like Diddy came on or some shit, and then I'd catch like like that halfway through the song or some shit. But yeah, that's how I made my mixtapes, and then other homies were like passing CDs around. I got into like making CDs and shit with like
when those CDRs came out was next.
Winamp and shit.
Oh yeah, it was fire. Yeah. Winamp.
Winamp.
Yeah. Dope logo.
Yeah, so that was like my earliest kind of musical.
Were you producing when you were back then, or was it mostly just kind of like playing and making like mixes for friends and stuff?
So the reason, great segue question. The reason I got into producing early on, like when I was like maybe 12, 11, was because I was making my mixtapes from the radio and I wasn't loving the music I was hearing. I would wait for songs that it was hard to like be up on all the music back then, you know what I'm saying?
Different.
So you kind of had to listen to the radio and be like, oh, and then play that song again, I'll catch it next time kind of shit.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like loving all of the music, so I was like having trouble filling my tapes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just like make the music I want to fucking make. And I
love that as a natural transition though, because I feel like a lot of people, why they transition nowadays from DJ to producer is they're like, yo, like this song's dope, like I wish it did this or whatever. So it's like you kind of get it from hearing, and I kind of feel the same way. Like I would be making mixtapes for people, and there were like a couple people who rapped, and I was like, yo, like we can make something even cooler. What if we tried this instead of that? And it's almost out of like the breath of creativity, you know what I mean? You need to have like, oh, this is dope, but I could do it better,
Yeah. It's almost feels like a necessity almost when you're like creative. You're like, oh, I like need this like thing to like please whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever.
To fulfill
like,
that,
audio,
like
I call it survival mode. Because you're just like, all right, I need to do this. This is gonna be the thing that kind of puts me in the place that I want to be.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you just make it happen to just keep it going and do the shit.
Exactly, and then like especially when you're like needing it for something else, like for like a mixtape, you're like, I need like this vibe, I need this energy.
Yeah,
and it's like not coming to you from like your source. You're like, well, like I'm gonna be the source.
That's when the idea sparks, and you're like, okay, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
What were some inspirations for you like early on as far as producers?
Man, I was like big hip hop guy.
Yeah, me too.
Like
well, this is why I'm quizzing you right now. There's gonna be a lot of
years.
judgments. I know that we disagree on some of these already.
I mean, all the greats. Like I'm sorry to all my New York producers, but I was really like had a huge Dr. Dre phase where I was like trying to make beats like Dr. Dre.
Oh,
like,
for
like,
sure.
Just like the like very simple. I was into his simplicity, like how he could just like make almost like how house music is, like you could just listen to like one groove forever.
Yeah.
Like his beats is like one little like fire drum loop and like a sample or like a guitar lick, and it's just like, or like a piano riff. It's like the hottest.
Why is that
ever.
so hot?
It's like, you know what I mean? So like I was really into that. Also Pharrell and the Neptunes and them, because they're shit on a similar wave but like different.
I feel like their stuff almost was like it was like super complex for that.
It was like complex musically.
Yeah, musically,
for sure. Which I was into. Because like,
I mean, 3 of them, I would hope. That just to put that out there. Big fan, by the way.
Yeah.
But then I was also into like Timbaland and like, you know what I mean? Because his shit was like banging. It was a little more like banging, clubby, like bump. You know what I mean? I was into like different things for different reasons. And then I would try to like emulate all of them in my own. Like,
I think that's how a lot of people learn how to produce, honestly. Or I mean, even DJ, I guess, as well, is like you try to emulate the stuff around you.
Yeah.
And like from that, you get inspiration. You kind of put your own unique swings on it, and then you kind of combined artists that you love. You know what I mean? At least that's how I approached it early on, for sure.
Dude, totally. I was never like a huge hip hop head, but I was always a really big Beastie Boys fan.
Nice.
And I didn't realize until like not that long ago, I'm like, man, I've tried to like remake those drum sounds and grooves that they've recorded in like a lot of their stuff for so long.
Forever.
Not realizing that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Because I just started listening to like a lot of their old stuff again. I was like, it's like, damn, I've like subconsciously tried to just rip that shit off.
That's funny.
Like it comes from there. I get it now. And I'm obsessed with the sound. I think they really crushed it with that. So I can relate to that.
So now you're kind of doing more house and electronic music. What was your first, I feel like a lot of people have their first moment, because electronic music, especially when we grew up, wasn't necessarily as mainstream. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody has that one moment, I feel like, that they remember, where it's like they like saw a show or like listened to something on the radio that was like, wow, this is fucking cool, you know?
Yeah. Actually, it's definitely that moment. Again, my homies passing around. Shout out to friends that give you music. They're so
yeah.
But one of my friends put me on a Daft Punk.
Okay, hell yeah.
Put me homework. It was homework and Discovery, because Discovery had come out, but like we were listening to both of them. So he was like, yo, check out this new group I just discovered, like these French dudes, blah, blah, blah. I was like, and we were like I said, we were into like The Chronic, we were listening to like Eminem and shit back then, like real, just like, like rap. And I remember listening to Daft Punk, and I was like, what? Like, well, it was just like a epiphany, like kind of eureka, like weird. I was like so into it.
Hell yeah.
But like in a different way than I was into rap. You know what I mean? I was into rap for other reasons.
It unlocked a new.
But yeah, it was. I was like, what is this? Like, it's fast and it's like groovy and it's like joyful and like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like kind of hard and it's.
I feel like it's a good transition, like, artist from people who like hip hop. I think that was one of mine as well. You know what I mean? Like one of my moments. And because it's so groovy and has like so many different like swings and like grooves to it, it's like it fulfills the hip hop need. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways. I think that's also why it's sampled by so many hip hop artists. You know, so much of Daft Punk has been sampled by hip hop artists.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the house music that I had encountered back then was like the '90s kind of at the moment felt cheesy. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm not into that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then when this like housey or feeling,
it had more attitude
too. It was like different. It had character. It had like character. And I'm like, I'm sorry, because like that '90s house is fired. Like this is young to me. I'm looking back and I have a lot of appreciation for it now. Yeah. But like this is young me back then. You know, where it's like Biggie and stuff. And
you're into something else.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And but this had like a different kind of a character for like a higher tempo.
Yeah.
Music for me, and I just was like loving it.
And I think no shade. Like when the '90s house music came out, I thought it was kind of corny too. And it
Back
was like,
then, it was just
and
you know like
I think we were in different mindsets. We were growing up, and like that's like for a different type of palette as a different demo.
Yeah.
Maybe we weren't seasoned enough for it. You know what I mean?
Definitely
and it's like,
that.
because I mean,
Definitely.
I'm very inspired by the '90s stuff now, but back then I wasn't listening to a lot of that stuff. You know what I
it
mean?
just wasn't even cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, my bus driver used to blast house music, and I always think back on my
Your bus
I
driver was
had
like the coolest guy ever.
I had a bus driver who did the same thing.
like,
Yo.
like all fast, like 140 BPM shit. I was like, we're all like, you're
You're in the
crazy,
back,
Lou.
like, you asshole.
He's like, shut up, you kids back there.
oh my god, we're gonna be those guys.
Yeah.
we
facts.
are those guys.
We are those guys. I was gonna say we
We're
are.
like trying to get the kids to come to our parties to like appreciate good music. And they just want to hear like Lil Yachty.
Is that what got you into DJing then? Is that when you started DJing?
What got me? Oh no, so DJing was kind of like out of necessity because I was living in the city and I thought I was gonna like I had moved out of my parents' crib and I moved here with like not a lot of money looking back, but like what I thought was a lot of money back then, and I ran out very quickly, like with rent and stuff, and I was like doing a lot of odd jobs, like kind of like weird administrative like temp work for a while, and it wasn't really working out. And I was living with B-Rock. What's up, B-Rock? Shout out to B-Rock. And he was like going out late every night, coming home with wads of cash, and like he was like,
How do I get like
sleeping
that?
all day? And I was like, what the fuck do you do? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, what do you? And he was like, oh yeah, I just DJ. I was like, DJ. And at this, also at this time, my musical like how I was staying connected to music, because I didn't understand what DJing meant. I didn't know you could go. I didn't know you people got paid to play other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
guess it didn't like connect for me. Like, I saw them.
I
like,
think it was also
I
a
would
different
go out.
era though. Like we didn't know, like DJing
You know,
wasn't a thing.
It wasn't
back
like
then.
so big like it is now. Like I'd go out and I'd see these guys. I guess assumed they like obviously worked for the club, but like you know what I mean? Like
But not getting paid
staff.
like
I
hundreds
didn't.
of dollars.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like
So
yeah, all my DJ friends were balling back
I
then,
had
too. I was
no
just like,
was
idea,
too,
and
yeah.
he's like
The
got-
rates were the highest
off-
back then.
He's all fashionable and coming home and he's got like bad chicks with him and he's like passed out
Yeah,
all day
dude.
and I'm like waking up, I'm going to like some fucking whack ass job and shit. And I'm
Yeah,
like, what is he
man.
doing? He's got all this money like falling out of his backpack. So I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I just DJ. And yeah, that's kind of when I
Did you have
started.
decks in the crib? Did you like learn?
No,
from
back then we didn't. I had to learn from someone else because he was like not no shade, but he was just like away a lot. He was
Yeah.
working. He was like a touring DJ for Sean Gibson. But
Oh, yeah.
my connection with music was I was like, well, if I'm gonna like do music, I'm gonna be like a band guy. Like I'm gonna be like, you know, I thought I was gonna be like a mercenary, like playing keyboards. So I was like playing bass and piano and like guitar and like random bands and like $25
Yeah.
after like rehearsing for 3 weeks and like doing a show. And like that was the grind. I was like, all right, well, I just gotta get as many shows as
Dude,
I
yeah,
can.
that's what
And
it
like
is, man.
it's
And
like
it's tough in the city too.
the worst. But that's what I was doing. And when I found out about DJing, I was like, hold up, let me figure this shit out. And then like I had a couple other homies who were doing it and they put me on. They had decks at their crib. And shout out to my boy Austin Peters and my boy Matt. Yeah, then they just kind of like were letting me jump in to fill in for them when they wouldn't be around. And I was,
That's
you
how
know,
it starts. Yeah.
And then I was just like
How I started and how many of the people
Yeah.
who work with me now started, which is jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom, pop on. real
jumping
quick.
in like
Yeah.
for a couple tracks, and then like they'd be like, "Oh, like I double booked myself. Can you like play the night for me?" And then just got into
What? So I know you as the type of music that you play now. Were you doing like open format stuff? Were you still doing hip hop stuff?
Way more open format. I feel like also back then, which is not as much of a thing now. I was playing like 9 to 4:30, like 10 to 5.
Oh, I've hit the. You're not a real
Like
DJ unless you've done the
3,
marathon
like-
sets, boy.
like-
Why are you looking at me in the eyes? I've done those sets, man. Shut up.
We've all
I
done
was
the
just
sets.
looking for the cosign. I was looking for the cosign. That's
Like
all.
Friday and Saturday night, like Thursday,
dude,
Friday,
all
Saturday,
weekend.
sometimes on
Yeah,
a Tuesday.
brutal.
It's like, and you do the whole. It's not like you show up and play for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like that's why sometimes now, like I throw my parties now, and it's 11 to 3, which is not that long. It's in my
That's
head.
the
Yeah.
perfect amount of time.
You know
for a
what I
party.
mean? And I like randomly, someone had asked me about, or not randomly, but someone asked me about it, how long I was DJing for last week at the party, and I was like, oh, till 3. And they were like, damn, that's a long time. I was like,
You have no idea.
these young ass kids don't know shit. Like, and it was a guy that was trying, he was like, had expressed that he was trying to like get into DJing and shit. And I'm like, man, like, these guys think they just like are like you know, it's different from festival DJing where you just show up and you're slotted an hour because they have to stay on a time. You know what I mean? But that's what they see on like YouTube and shit. Like these guys, they have like, you know, they see Kink or whatever on YouTube,
Slam an hour.
rock, like kill it for like an hour and a half. They don't know like how much work goes into that hour and a half. It's not like, you know, like Kink has probably played for like 12 hours on it. You know what I mean? Like these guys are seasoned dudes. They're not, and like there's a reason why they could come do that for an hour and it'd be so dynamic because like, they know what they're doing. You know,
I think a lot of people look at it too, and it's like even if you are a headliner DJ playing for an hour, or if you're playing for 6 hours and you're open format guy, it's like how many hours went into that set? Like you just said, is like how much music organization, how much searching for tracks, how much practice time, and all of that. It's like, oh man, you're getting paid that much money for a couple hours or for an hour. It's like, nah, man, I'm getting paid for the 40 hours it took me to do this and set this up.
Lifetime of grind. You know? But yeah, so.
When was the turn then to like house and more EDM style electronic music?
Like DJing?
Yeah, or artistry in general.
Probably like, I mean, I always had like house in the crates just because when you're doing open format, you kind of like have to have everything. So it was always like part of the journeys that I'd be creating every weekend for people. But I guess the Knox kind of became more of a dance like crossover between like DJ pop act and we would do our DJ sets and like kind of need more of the houseier leaning stuff. And that's when I started like kind of collecting more. I also did this project called The Deep where I was like collecting all of who I thought were the best DJs in New York at the time. And we were just like throwing parties around the city.
That's
and it was
fire.
all,
I didn't
like,
know about
deep
that
house
actually.
Parties. And we did like a lot of parties at Tutus. It
Any
spawned
underground joints?
Things Might Get Weird, which was a few parties that we did every summer. Shout out to my homies Luca, Noah, JD, Haruka, Juan, Bullbuck. There was like 8 of us, but yeah, and that kind of like got my house crates up because we were doing like straight up like basement dance, like sweaty house music parties like before it was kind of popular.
How I thought about both of you guys actually before I knew you, and this is a term that I feel like most of the audience probably won't know, is blog house era.
Oh my God, that's. I was just about to. I was just about to say also the Bloghouse era because the Knox could be like were born out of the Bloghouse era.
Oh, for sure.
So like whenever
and that was like those sweaty parties, like before like EDM was even a name that people
wasn't
threw around.
Cool. It wasn't even like because you had to discover the music on these blogs and shit like that. Like there was no way it was almost like a competition between like you and your homies who could find the cuttiest music on like the coolest blog and like go out and play it. And you're like, have you heard this? And like, you know what I mean? Like,
bro, that was me on the weekend. I would be like, cause like you start as like a crate digger, right? Looking for records. Now I would be on the internet like
just scouring.
Like oh, here's this weird publication from Germany.
Literally, oh my God, remember VK? Please tell me you guys were on VK.com.
Oh, of course.
And just like following random fucking like random people who post random music from like Latvia.
So like, I mean, this is good for both of you guys. Like, do you feel like now where music is, do you think people still have that digger mentality within like house and electronic music? Or do you think people want more of a, because like now it's so much more popular. Back when when I feel like all of us were kind of coming up and it really was who could find the most obscure record.
There was definitely that element for sure.
I don't know if that's still there.
I think it still exists. And I think it's just different now though, because you have like Beatport and TrackSource and stuff like that. But now even I'm like trying to dig through TrackSource. Like I'll find a label and I'll just be like, when did they start releasing shit? I'm gonna go to them.
All the way to the back.
And just see what cool old stuff I can find that's really unique and different that you're not gonna hear. Because like, I think when people first get into it, they start sifting through like the top 100 in the genres, and it's like, okay, you're gonna find cool stuff, but then you're gonna find stuff that everybody else is playing. So it's like, how do you reach outside of that? And I think some people are taking the extra steps, but depends on.
It's literally,
I think most people have their Shazam out at sets, and they're playing those songs based on that. And that's become such a thing now, you know.
It has, which is always my favorite compliment to receive. Is I couldn't Shazam anything you played. I was like,
they're all IDs. They're not even out yet.
That's why I'm trying to get this edit pack done, bro, because I don't want anyone to know what I'm playing, but I want it all to be fine.
Exactly.
But it's literally just that extra step of like if you find a song you like, go deeper, like go into the label, go into the producer, and then they probably have a track source page where they're they've curated a mix, and then like usually within those mixes is where you
find the
shit.
heat.
Also, Spotify digging in a similar way.
Yeah, I definitely have like a Spotify playlist. When I come across stuff, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna put that in my like songs to download.
I feel like that's the new way though. Is like the kids who I talk to who are like coming up in the scene and all of that. They're either Spotify digging and they'll like look through like related artists and all of that, or the new one now is like the Reddit digging. And I know a lot of people who like have a bunch of subreddits.
I was into Reddit digging for a second. Reddit's a lot for me.
Yeah, same, dude.
Just for me, is a lot.
I'm not a big Reddit.
Y'all are
user.
both Twitter people. I feel like it's very similar.
Yeah.
But it's like Twitter with no parameters. It's like people just can like, you know, you
Dude,
get
the thing
unlimited
is, if you
character.
search for something on Reddit,
limit.
you're gonna get about 90 different like message boards. Or
It's
whatever.
so
I was like, you know,
much.
it's too much. For
And
me.
like one of them might lead you to the thing that
Yeah.
you like need. But
Although I feel like Bandcamp is becoming really popular for people to even just listen to music.
Yeah,
on.
facts. I think the pandemic did that, honestly.
And I think SoundCloud is still definitely holding on to some.
Oh, they're coming up back
level
hard right
of,
now.
like, yeah.
people been hitting me with a lot of SoundCloud links.
Yeah. I mean,
recently.
I've always used SoundCloud to like share music that I'm like that's not released or like private and whatnot. But I think people are now like putting out a lot of stuff on there and pushing that.
What now that we just went down the whole music tangent, what do you have coming up? Like what's on the horizon for Mr. James Patterson?
Well, let's talk about your label too a little bit.
Shit. Sure.
Black Clay.
Yeah, so it all kind of ties in. More releases on Black Clay, which is the label that the Knox and our managers we've started just kind of for releases. Like we generate a lot of music together and separately, so it's kind of just to have a place to have like all that stuff that doesn't work for the Knox exist.
Nice.
Mine being a little bit more like funky, housey, and Ben's being a little bit more kind of like emotional, sample based. Like, listening music.
However, you guys are releasing a new version of an old song with a slammin' remix soon. Just wanted to put that out there. You guys are dropping a Knox release.
Yes, oh
on
my
Black
God.
Clay.
On Black Clay, very soon, we're redropping Dancing with the DJ, which
Classic
is
record.
talk about the Blockhouse era.
Yeah,
It's
it was
like
a big
the
one.
song that kind of got the Knox into anything from back in the Blockhouse days. 12 years, like, right?
Yeah.
10, 12.
Yes, 12.
12 years. 12, that's crazy.
That's
we are
wild.
old, bro.
Yeah.
But with the remix by the one
That's
and
right.
only.
I saw you played it out last weekend.
Bro, it went off in the club.
Sick. Hell
Off.
yeah.
You saw me, I was like, I was feeling it. I was feeling it. It was
That
going
is the classic Jake
It was going on.
face.
It was going on. It was going on.
Nice.
Yeah, remix from Lefty coming. Lots of new stuff from myself, James Patterson, coming. I'm working. Oh, I have a beat tape of unreleased shit. A lot of stuff I did through COVID that I
dope.
thought was going to be an album or like parts of other albums, anyways. But it's like all sessions that I lost that I can no longer work on. So it's like unmixed and like at the point.
It's not from the hard drive thing, is it?
It is from the hard drive thing. Lost a lot of sessions. So
Oh no.
it's cool though. It's cool though. I do like a kind of mix as I go thing, so they're like listenable, and I'm just gonna fucking put them out because fuck it, why not?
Yeah,
So that's
fire.
coming, and Holiday '87 stuff on Black Clay, and shows. I got shows. Look for my shows.
A lot of summer gigs for you,
Summer
I'm sure,
stuff.
coming up.
We're doing some Pride stuff. It's all coming together. So
Yeah, sweet.
But,
Awesome.
Do you have any word of advice? You know, we're at the Sound Collective, a music school, for anybody who's like trying to get into DJing and production. You know, what's your one like tidbit of advice that they can take away from?
be patient.
Oh, that's a
That's
great,
a great
one.
one.
That is a
very,
really good one.
very patient.
Yeah.
Extremely,
Extremely patient.
patient. It's not gonna happen in a day,
Yeah.
Or a week,
week,
or a year.
or a decade, or like it's just like a constant, slow build. But it's worth it when you look back and you see where you came from, and you're like, okay, then it is motivation to keep going. But if you approach it like, oh, I'm like, I know so many people that have like my music career failed because they like put a song out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, I put a song out that didn't get enough like the streams they were hoping for. It's like
Takes a lot more than that.
That's right. I
Yeah,
still
but-
feel like my music career is failing every time I. Put a
every
song
time I
out.
wake up, every day, I have to like talk myself.
We're getting back into it today.
Have a very good emotional support system.
I'm like,
that's my advice.
I don't even check my artist Spotify because it's a bummer. It's just like, ugh, like, you know what I mean?
No, you can't watch the numbers because you never know. Like,
it's not worth it.
Honestly, like the whole thing on playlisting, just to take it off subject really quick, it's like you could get a massive playlist that'll get you tons of streams, but like, is that real fans and all this stuff? So
are those people going to come to a show?
No, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
It might look really good on paper and like all this and that, but at the end of the day,
it's two different things.
The real value is there. So I think be patient is great because you have to just keep pushing into it and keep grinding away, and things come along, and it's a fucking slow burn is right.
Totally. Be patient, be genuine.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Where can people find you online?
James Patterson. I'm Mr. JPat on pretty much everything on Twitter, Instagram, and yeah, that's Spotify me, James Patterson, all the fucking platforms.
Check out his shows. Check out his future releases. This man is heat.
I be on the gram, so like follow me on the gram. I look post a lot on Instagram.
He has really good fashion tips on there. I take a couple.
I kind of stopped because that shit wasn't going off.
I liked it.
It was like mad. So I thought, you know how you like.
I bought a couple outfits and everything. Now you're telling
me
this.
Though?
Damn,
I think
bro.
people like seeing it. They just don't always interact with it because it becomes part of your timeline.
Yeah.
I think it's fun and it's very genuinely you. Well, I want to take this time real quick to thank the Sound Collective for having us here. We're here at 28 Broadway. We offer a variety of programs here. You can go and get a membership, use all of this equipment at your own pace. We have a recording studio, performance spaces, live streaming room. Vanna White over here, he comes in sometimes. We have online subscription where you can learn at your own pace, certificate programs, all of it. And I want to thank truly one of my brothers right here, Mr. James Patterson, for coming through.
Thank you for joining us.
Much love.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Pleasure.
Hope you guys enjoy the set. Coming to you now. Wait, is it fast?
Yeah. It's coming to you now.
Or coming to you now.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all check the playlist. We're going to have his set below. Drop a like, drop a comment. We love y'all. I'm Rich.
I'm Lefty. Thanks for watching.